Hi there. Why is new chart music boring? Well, today I've got Sam Wattis with me. So, hello, Sam.
Hello.
How are you getting on?
Good.
Not that we've done this 3 times already because I keep getting it wrong. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no. Anyway, why is chart music so boring?
Well, it's a very good question because I think it's got many different opinions. There's a lot of people that would disagree with you, and that's what they listen to pretty regularly, especially when it's on the radio. It's so easy to have access to. It's kind of everywhere, and there's a lot of people that would completely agree with you and think that it's just uninspired and it's not got what it needs to have. And I think at the moment it's just so easy to make music that's not got any sort of inspiration behind it, and it just keeps your attention, almost like same with like social media and things. It's just got to keep, it's something that's going to hold your attention for the amount of time that it needs to hold your attention for, and then they'll come in with something new, but it's still the same. It's got a little twist to it, but it's just the same thing packaged in a different package, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it does worry me a little bit because when you've got sort of things like AI coming in and stuff like that, it tends to try and make the creation process as easy and easier for anybody to be able to sort of make it. But I really think that the main reason why sort of today's charts are so sort of boring. I mean, yeah, okay, so they might not be boring, as you said. It is a subjective sort of, it's a comment that I would say most people my age would say. And I think that is probably the best way to sort of look at it, because we were spoilt, absolutely spoilt for choice. When I sort of grew up listening to music, you got people like sort of the Police and Queen and Elton John and Phil Collins and Genesis, and all those sort of things were there. I think what has the biggest impact is how we digest the music. Because when in my day, the only way you could sort of find out about a new band was by radio. Really, there wasn't, when I was a teenager, I'm talking about before the internet started taking off, and I think there was quite a lot of I suppose assistance in how to find music, because there were people with jobs that were paid reasonably, like radio DJs. The radio was big, and it was their job to educate the people into what music is worth listening to. And the only way you could listen to it, there was two ways, I suppose, really. Go and buy it, which is what most of us did or tried to, because they were also quite it's still a decent amount of money, I suppose. It was about a couple of pound, if I remember rightly, to go and buy a single, that is, and or listen to it on the radio. And then the cassette player sort of came in as well, so you could start recording, but people were not grabbing those and uploading them.
I think it's almost, now for me, I can see it being so overwhelming for people to find music that they like. I think especially with the radio and what's on the radio now, is very easy to kind of just switch off and not really take much interest in what you're listening to. Sometimes it's even more what comes with the music, so whether the artist is causing some sort of drama or it's like they have this sort of image to them, and that's what people kind of eat into a little bit more, and they kind of don't digest what they really like about the thing, and they never question, why do I like this music? What is it about this music that I like? And it's because it's catchy. They don't need to feel they need to think about that. And with things like social media and Spotify and streaming services and the mountains and mountains of music, and how easy it is for people to create the music or get hold of it, it's almost just so overwhelming, so people just switch off and they're like, I'll listen to that because it's easy, it's what's accessible, it's what's easy to get hold of.
Yeah, it's sort of a tough world for a listener, isn't it? I suppose that's a way to think about it. Having said that, there's no real trend either. I mean, there are sort of, I'd call them breakouts of trends. So you've got you've got punk rock and various other ones, and then they try and do sort of an in-between version of it, but there's no real, not from what I've seen. Doesn't mean they don't exist, but not from what I've seen, something that's completely and absolutely different. There's one guy that I've seen, I don't know whether you've seen any of his stuff, but Ren, have you heard of Ren?
Yeah, I've heard.
What do you think of that?
I find him really interesting. I think I've seen very like mixed responses of people and how they like take to him, and I think what, as a musician, I think it's really interesting because he's going and he's kind of finding his own ways, taking complete inspiration from what he likes. He's not trying to fit himself into a mold. He's just enjoying what he's creating. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing that I wish more. And there is so many musicians and so many people I work with, so many people I know who just do it because they enjoy it. Yeah. And they just want to keep doing it because they enjoy it, and they're not doing it to fit into a mold or to create loads of money. And one, because people know now that it's just not that easy to do unless you're appealing to like the masses. Yeah. They're doing it because like their heart's in. Yeah, because it's in the creation and the music. Yeah. Which is sort of quite different to the way it used to be. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I think actually what's happening in the music environment, I'm not going to say business, because what's happening in the music business is the whole nothing. Story, It's a completely different story, that is. But what's happening in music, and from what I've seen, sort of artists like sort of Jack and Daisy and Ren and lots of it, and even Campbell Jensen are just so different. He's fine, but they have no expectations of grandeur. Now, when you go back to my sort of day, and I mean, it's not that far. I mean, I'm not really that old, but I'm quite old. But if you go back to my day and age, there was a feeling amongst people that were in music of making it big. We're going to make it big. That was the goal. Yeah. That was what they were kind of... But they also almost did it with... They did the music because they loved the music. Yeah. But they strive for the goal alongside it. I feel like now it's very split in... I'm going to make it big, so I'm going to do whatever I need on social media or whatever sound I need, and not really write the song because I love it. I'm going to write it because I know it'll do well and it'll reach the right people.
That's right, but you've got to see, if we're trying to break into the music business, which, as we say, is a very different thing, music business, then I believe that now you need an awful lot of money to do that. So if you are a Taylor Swift, for instance, or and I'm not saying she's not good, she is good. I do like what she does. She is more the exception, really, if you know what I'm saying. But there are a lot of other rich kids, as we call them, out there that get given the opportunity and a big push shoved into a record company, and they just have to deliver. Now, the thing is with them, and this used to happen in the olden days as well, once you were given that opportunity, but the thing is, though, the hoops you had to jump through in the olden days aren't the same. They just weren't the same at all. I mean, really, your A&Rs would take a risk. They would take that little risk, That was a big risk, really, to be fair, and they'd put thousands of pounds behind artists, and then have them, loads of them just sort of sitting there waiting, bumbling, not bubbling away, that's it, bubbling away in the background, trying to sort of find their way out into the big stage, and when they were ready, the A&R guy would say, look, this is ready, this is done, we've put all this money into the backing, they've got a good EP or a good single or a good album, and the album's on the way, but they'd make them work like nobody's business. And that hasn't changed at all. That bit hasn't changed. They still make you work.
I feel like they don't have the difference from then and now is there was more, although you were working, you had the support, and at least feel like you had someone to kind of take you in that direction, whereas now I feel like so many artists don't have the support, and they're kind of seen, obviously back then they'd be seen as a product rather than actual musicians a lot of the time, but it's even worse now that they're seen more of as a product and even less as a musician or a person.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of lost, you've lost that kind of support, and the only way a lot of people can get to where they want to be is through the money, because it's so tough, which is a shame. And there's so much less risk taking from just A&Rs and management, unless they know that it's going to make them loads and loads of money.
And even the artists,
they're
literally, a lot of them are just sitting there saying, well, okay, so I'm going to release a record, it's got to be the same as the previous record, or not the same, but it's got to have the same impact as the previous record. They make a change to the way they do things, and people's ears like, so they've going on to a slightly different subject, which is very much, connected, is the way that the music business is producing music. So they think, they meaning the music companies, think that we all need to have auto-tune on us. We all need to be as loud as we possibly can be to make sure that, we all need to have sub-bass. Sub-bass has got to be really, beating away merrily. And the lyrics have got to be, I suppose just...
either relatable or...
Yeah, that's
so
right,
unrelatable that you think it is.
Yeah.
Or or just something
the latest,
really,
girlfriend or boyfriend problems, and that seems to be about it, really. But so the music production team as well. So you're looking at sort of mixing people and all that sort of stuff as well. It's like a production line, more so than I really want to work with that artist, or I really want to do that. That even down to sort of the tone of instruments, the sound of drums, for instance. Talk about drums, shall we? They've tried to make everything samey, so it's like a big mash of sameness.
And then it becomes easy listening rather than something new or something just different.
And there's few people as well that listen to sort of the radio. So the only way they're going to find new music is, as we've jumped onto new music, the only way they're going to find new music is whatever social media they use,
There's some radio DJs which I do feel like are pushing really good music out there, like Jack Saunders on BBC. I don't regularly really listen to the radio, but whenever I do, or if there's ever a position I am in to be listening to, I know that he's always putting good stuff on a lot of artists that I'm interested in or that I feel should be heard, and people that I just didn't think would be played on the radio. And there's like an artist called Alex G, who I'm a big fan of, and even there's a band called Fontaine's DC. They're doing very well at the moment, and a lot of people are interested in them. And I think there's small pockets of kind of people that are really kind of keeping good music alive, and people who care about the music alive, rather
and
they're
than self-promoted as well, aren't they?
A lot of them, and then I think it's definitely makes a nice change from hearing the same song that you've heard in like 5 different fonts for the past few months on the radio. It's just, it becomes uninspired then, and it's nice hearing someone sing about something that's not the same, something that's different, and not about some sort of love problem. I like a good love song. Right. I like a good love song, and
who doesn't?
But it's nice hearing about something different. Maybe something.
What was it? Paul McCartney and Wings. What was it? Silly Love Songs, wasn't it? That was a direct sort of jab at John Lennon, saying that all he can write is love songs. Yeah, I just remember that. But I think the songwriting out of the music business, and the way that people work together as musicians, obviously has to slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
and that means that even though there are such good things going on at the moment in outside of the music business, because we don't need the music business now. I mean, really, I say we. I mean, the good guys, the ones that are making the proper music and the stuff that is sort of important, in my opinion, don't really need the big guys. You don't need the record companies. You don't need the distribution. You don't need the labels and all that sort of stuff. And it just changes the way you can create music. What I'm trying to say is that we've all got to earn some money somehow.
Yeah, it's just the financial side is such a hard position. Like for me personally as well, doing shows and gigs and playing for people. Like there's many artists who really want to pay their band and be fair with it and also earn money themselves, and they just can't because we'll do a show or they'll release a song and they're earning nothing, whether that's from streaming or from the venue can't afford to pay that sort of money, or because it's just such a struggle for musicians now and when they really want to be seen, and that's why so many people give up. And it's unfair on people, and when people come from a background where they have a lot of money, where they can just fund themselves, it makes it difficult for when people have got such good songs there and good experiences or knowledge and talent, and they can't get anywhere and they give up because they don't have the funding or the support. That could be music that changes the generation.
Exactly. Changes the trend. Yeah. So what would happen is, you'd be in your sort of, I don't know, sort of teenage bedroom type thing, making your music whilst you're at school. There's a lot of studying going on, we know that, but there's a lot of spare time as well, so you're creating your whatever, and then you've got to either go to university, you've either got to go to college, you've got to do something like that. So you've got to do something else within the daytime. The dropouts back in the 70s, 60s, those are the ones that started going to college and didn't really get on very well, dropped out, were still living with their moms and dads, or in digs or, low cost, whatever, and then got caught up by the record industries, and they were then paid, as it were, even though it wasn't a lot, but they were paid to do their thing. What I'm saying today is there's very few young musicians that can sort of afford to do that past a certain age. I mean, there's many musicians now are going to university first. And at the end of university, that's an odd age. It's a difficult age, isn't it? To sort of start thinking, well, I'm now going to spend 100% of my time music. Yeah. You don't get a grant for being a pop star. It'd be nice.
It'd be very nice.
Well, I think there are music grants, but they're more for like the sort of
business side.
The arts, actually, and the arts side. Like sort of classically trained and stuff like that. And I think there's some things that you can get, like scholarships and stuff like that, But so where's that incentive? So let's say, for instance, someone is lucky enough to be very, very good. Well, as we know, it's not about luck. It's about hard work. Yeah. Getting famous is about luck. Yeah. Yeah, being a good musician has nothing to do with luck. It's just hours and hours and hours of toil.
Yeah.
You know, over a drum kit or vocals or whatever you're doing. But I think you've got this sort of want. There's a requirement. There's a requirement. We need new music. I mean, there's very few people. If you say, "Do you like music?" say, "No."
Yeah.
I don't like music. I just listen to
whatever's on
podcasts or or something like that.
Just whatever's on the radio.
Yeah, there isn't many people that have no opinion of music, is there? But there just isn't a way to get that out with the limited amount of time that we have. You know,
there's many of the musicians that I know are like solo artists or just general artists. And they have to spend hours and hours on TikTok creating these posts and doing it every day. And they're doing like 2-3 posts a day of something that they're not really interested in. It doesn't really have much correlation to the music that they're creating. But they have to do it to get seen by multiple people so they can at least start earning some form of money to then maintain it and release the stuff that they want and reach the people that they want to reach. It becomes quite a vicious kind of cycle rather than people just creating for the love of it. They kind of there's a fine line drawn where you kind of then people start losing their love for the creating of music because they spend too much time creating a video that they don't care about to catch someone's attention.
I could say
for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is it. Well, I mean, I'm talking about why I'm doing it. I mean, why am I doing the videos? Well, I like doing the videos. I do enjoy doing the videos, I have to say. And working with my son as well on doing some of the directing. That's really cool. But I really want people to listen to my original music. Now, if I put my original music out on YouTube on its own with no massive promotion, I've actually proved the point.
Yeah.
That one of the tracks that you played on, I can't remember. It's Some Light Shines is the album, obviously. If I Told You, I think it was If I Told You. So if you didn't know, Sam actually played on my album Some Light Shines, which is great. We'll have a chat about what Sam's up to as well in a few minutes. So on that one, I decided to try to promote it through Groover. Now, Groover's pretty good. It's not bad at all, but you have to pay. Yeah. So I invested a massive amount, about £200 or £300, not a lot. Yeah. And managed to get 23,000 plays. Yeah. So if you look at the rest of the album, you can see that that's the one that's been promoted. Yeah. You know, and it got on the radio in Qatar. It got to number 13 in the charts in Qatar. Don't ask. I have no idea how it got to Qatar. It went, there was loads of views in Brazil. There was loads of views everywhere else. So I can see if you've got the money to put behind it, music, this is the cliche, isn't it? 2 types of music. What is it? Good and bad. That's it. There's only 2 types of music. There's music that people will listen to and go, and there's people who will go, ugh. And then sometimes it's Marmite, whereby the opposites are different to, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that if my album had £10,000 put behind it, there's no doubt in my mind that it would get into the charts. I mean, it's got great musicians on it. Can't talk about me myself, whether it's good or bad or indifferent or whatever.
Got great musicians, yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely got the great musicians. And, it sounded good. I mean, it just did. So if we'd have put loads and loads of cash behind it, then obviously it'd have taken off. But I wouldn't necessarily want the life that goes with that either. I'm quite happy, with the life. I just want my music out there a little bit more.
Because you have the love for the music.
That's it. But you are right. Instead of going back to your point, instead of me sitting here thinking about writing my next song which hasn't happened in my head for some time. I'm thinking about what's my next video to attract people to the songs I've already released.
Yeah.
Not thinking about ahead enough to think, well, if people do start coming to my YouTube channel and start watching my long form videos, short forms, covers, I'm doing a lot of cover songs, which I wouldn't have entertained 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I wouldn't have entertained doing a cover song. I'd have only wanted to do, original songs. I'm saying come to listen to all my original music. I'm not writing any original music at the moment.
Yeah.
Not for myself. We've got the band Waggleman, which is a crazy name. It's brilliant. That's with John and Rob, who you played with as well. And I'm doing some vocals on that. And that's sort of funky stuff. So yeah, there is creation going on, but that's more of a group getting together and creating. We make that time. We do it. We love it, we enjoy it, we don't care where it goes. If it goes anywhere, it doesn't really matter whether it does or doesn't. We're just enjoying doing what we're doing. But again, that's time restricted. We can only get together. We've got our things, different lives. The only way music used to happen, really, is young people at home getting together, having a bit of a play, being better than your average, and then it just wham, bang, takes off. With all the modern problems of life in the way, with, as I said, with the school extending into university and things like that, I think that's had a dramatic effect on the way people learn an instrument and get interested in an instrument. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think you don't... It's not... Back in when you were probably growing up with music, you'd see a band and you see an artist and you'd be like, that's really cool, I want to play guitar, I want to learn how to play drums. I feel like now it's not as accessible, and people don't do that as much. I don't feel around my age, and people growing up in my generation don't see musicians and really think, I want to be like T-Rex. I want to play guitar like him. I want to sing like him. I want to be like the Beatles, like a band like the Beatles. You don't have that as much anymore. And there is many bands which still people look to and they like playing their songs and they want to learn to play their songs. But I think it's more like you're in school and you're like, oh, I have to play guitar for this lesson, or my mum wants me to learn an instrument, so I'm going to do drum lessons or something. And it's less, there's less of a kind of yearning to kind of learn an instrument and be a musician and be in a successful band. I think you still need that balance of, I want to make music because I love the music, but I also want to be successful and I want to be seen on the TV or heard on the radio. You still definitely need that balance, but there's people either go down one route of, I just do music because I want to do it because I enjoy it, or go down the other route of, I'm going to make music because everybody else wants to hear it, so I'm going to do that. And I think tying back into the chart music, I think it's a big attention span thing. Barely anybody has the attention span to sit down and learn an instrument. And also they listen to music which is shorter and shorter because they don't have the attention span to listen to a song that's past 3 minutes long. No. Even 3 minutes for some people won't even listen to, and they'll skip to the next one.
It's crazy, really. I think we have probably educated people that have got no patience, really.
Yeah, I think
with music and other things as well.
I think things like TikTok and Instagram, especially, or just general like reel apps, whereas you have the reels on YouTube, reels on Instagram, reels on everything, and people just want to hear that short snippet, and they get so locked into that short snippet of a song, of someone promoting it, that the rest of the song's not what they expect.
No, and I think the format of a song as well. I mean, we're fully back in the why chart music is boring. It has to be done a specific way, else it doesn't catch people's ear, you know? So there's a formula. There's always been a formula for music, and that's, in my opinion, works with the two things, good music and bad music. That's it, really, you know? I mean, if you look at like the Beatles, sort of Blackbird, for instance, that doesn't really conform to anything, to be fair. Not really. Well, I suppose it does a bit. But, you know, it's a very short song and, you know. But there's got to be a hook. There's got to be a this and a that and the other. There just doesn't. You know, there just doesn't. There does for people that are sort of, you know, being dragged along by what you're saying about, you know, just like in, you know, zombie land, and just haven't got the patience to actually, like, want to listen to something new. But you know, it's just such a good it's a good thing that there are people around that like to make proper good new music. Yeah, it's just you can't find
taking risks in the music and
just can't find it.
Creating. I think from being a musician, it's so much easier to find the music that you want because you know where to go look in. And you kind of figure out what you like.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who aren't musicians who are the same, who do the same and find me like this music. But I also know a lot of people around my age who kind of do listen to older music because they know where they stand with that.
That's right.
And they know what bands have kind of made it, what they like, what they don't like. Whereas now it is a lot harder to kind of search and seek out. And there's a lot of good festivals that will put these really good acts and bands on, and lots of good venues. But it's whether people want to take... And it's small pockets of people that kind of like these different bands and artists. But for the general masses, it's whether they're willing to take a risk at throwing a tenner on a show to go see a band, and it might be their new favourite band and they can support them, and whether they make it massive or not, accepting they like the music and enjoying it. But there's very little people who are willing to kind of spend that little bit of money to find someone that they may or may not like. And there's also it's not as easy to kind of walk to a venue, walk around town and be like, I'm gonna pop in there, that music sounds good, let's pay like a $5 for it. And gig tickets aren't even like a $5 anymore. It's not small amounts of money. You can kind of just be like, that's just a $5.
No, it's
like it just keeps adding
20,
and adding and adding
quid,
up,
and
then you're like,
it's all right. That's not too bad.
But to take a risk on something that you might not like.
They wouldn't do that, would they? And I think also one of the main problems is there isn't any money around either, is there? You know, I mean, that's it. And even though £20 or £30 probably equates to a couple of pounds when I was around, you know, or you know what I'm saying, it's still not quite what people want to do, isn't it? Anyway, so we'll do another interview and find out what you're up to. Yeah. Please, I'll put a link in the description to some of Sam's work. So that's what we've just done, isn't it? Why is, you know, chart music so boring? Well, that's why we think it's boring. Why do you think it's boring? And if you like this, please subscribe and mash that like button as well if you can. Anyway, thanks very much, Sam.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.